The Instagram post that Monica Patel uploaded at 11:47 p.m. on September 15, 2023, showed her perfectly manicured hand holding a glass of champagne against the backdrop of San Francisco Bay, with the caption, "Living our best life with my amazing husband," but by sunrise the next morning, she would be sobbing hysterically into her phone, calling 911 to report that Arjun Patel, her tech entrepreneur husband, worth 12 million euros, had mysteriously vanished from their luxury yacht during what she claimed was a romantic overnight cruise that had turned into an unthinkable tragedy. The Coast Guard rescue operation that began at dawn on September 16th involved 3 helicopters, 2 patrol boats, and dozens of personnel searching the choppy waters of the Pacific Ocean for any trace of Arjun Patel, whose wife insisted he had been standing on the deck enjoying the moonlight when she went below to use the bathroom, only to return 15 minutes later to find him gone without explanation, leaving behind his wallet, phone, and the expensive Rolex watch that he never removed even while sleeping. The initial search efforts were hampered by deteriorating weather conditions and the vast expanse of ocean where a body could drift for miles in any direction, though experienced. Coast Guard officers noted that the timeline provided by Monica seemed inconsistent with typical drowning scenarios, particularly given Arjun's reputation as an excellent swimmer who had completed multiple triathlons and was known for his careful approach to safety protocols during their frequent boating excursions. Monica's performance as a grieving widow began immediately after reporting her husband missing, with dramatic displays of emotion that seemed perfectly calibrated for the television news cameras that arrived within hours of the Coast Guard being notified, capturing footage of her tearful interviews about their perfect marriage and her devastation at losing the love of her life in such a sudden and inexplicable accident that had stolen her future happiness and financial security in a single tragic moment. The couple's relationship had been extensively documented through Monica's social media presence, which showcased their lavish lifestyle, including exotic vacations, designer clothing, expensive jewelry, and the 90-foot yacht Mumbai Dreams that Arjun had purchased 2 years earlier as a symbol of his success in the competitive technology investment sector, where his instincts for identifying promising startups had generated enormous wealth that supported their luxurious San Francisco lifestyle and frequent entertainment of business associates and social contacts. The yacht itself represented more than just a recreational vessel for the Patels. It was a floating office where Arjun conducted business meetings with potential investors and startup founders who were impressed by his success and attracted to the glamorous setting that demonstrated his financial acumen and sophisticated taste in luxury items that reflected his transformation from a middle-class immigrant family background to membership in California's technology elite. The evening that would become Arjun's last began with what Monica described as a spontaneous decision to take the yacht out for a romantic dinner cruise, though Marina records later revealed that she had reserved the departure slot 3 days in advance and had specifically requested that their usual crew be given the night off, leaving only the couple aboard the vessel for what she claimed was an intimate celebration of their upcoming 8th wedding anniversary. The timeline that Monica provided to investigators placed Arjun's disappearance sometime between midnight and 12:30 a.m., during what she described as calm seas and perfect weather conditions that made his accidental fall seem inexplicable to everyone who knew his cautious nature and extensive experience with maritime safety procedures that he insisted on following religiously during their previous boating excursions with friends, family, and business associates. The 911 call that Monica made at 6:15 a.m. was marked by hysterical sobbing and claims that she had spent hours searching the yacht and calling Arjun's name before accepting that something terrible had happened, though audio analysis would later reveal inconsistencies in her emotional responses and gaps in her timeline that suggested she had been awake and aware of his absence for much longer than she initially claimed to emergency responders, Coast Guard officials. The immediate response from their social circle was an outpouring of sympathy and support for Monica, who was viewed as a devoted wife whose glamorous lifestyle had been shattered by an unthinkable tragedy that demonstrated how quickly wealth and happiness could be destroyed by random accidents that struck even the most successful and careful individuals who seemed to have everything they needed for permanent security and contentment. The search for Arjun's body continued for 5 days with no results, leading to the presumption of death that would trigger insurance investigations and legal proceedings regarding his substantial estate. While Monica's behavior during this period was characterized by alternating displays of overwhelming grief and surprising composure that began to attract attention from investigators who were experienced in recognizing the differences between genuine trauma and calculated performance designed to manipulate public perception and legal outcomes. The first crack in Monica's carefully constructed narrative appeared during her formal interview with Detective Karen Lopez of the San Francisco Police Department, when she was unable to explain why the yacht's GPS tracking system showed unusual movement patterns during the early morning hours that contradicted her claims about remaining anchored in calm waters while she searched desperately for her missing husband throughout the night. The marina security footage that investigators obtained showed the Mumbai Dreams returning to its slip at 4:23 a.m., nearly 2 hours before Monica's frantic 911 call, with clear images of Monica alone at the helm, navigating the yacht with competent precision that seemed inconsistent with someone who was supposedly overwhelmed by panic and grief over her husband's mysterious disappearance during what she claimed had been a perfect romantic evening, celebrating their marriage and shared success. The yacht crew member Daniel Ross, who had been dismissed by Monica for the evening despite his usual responsibility for overnight security and maintenance, provided investigators with information about previous tensions between the couple that Monica had attempted to hide from their social circle, including heated arguments about Arjun's controlling behavior regarding her spending and social media activities that had escalated in frequency and intensity during the months preceding his disappearance. Detective Lopez's initial assessment of the crime scene revealed several inconsistencies that raised questions about Monica's version of events, including the absence of Arjun's DNA or personal belongings in areas of the yacht where she claimed he had been spending time before his disappearance, and the presence of cleaning supplies that appeared to have been used recently, despite Monica's claims that she had been too distraught to perform any routine maintenance or housekeeping activities. The financial investigation that began within days of reporting Arjun missing uncovered Monica's extensive research into insurance policies and estate planning documents that suggested she had been planning for the possibility of her husband's death for several months before the incident, including consultations with multiple attorneys about inheritance laws and the legal procedures required to claim death benefits when no body had been recovered from an accidental drowning. Monica's social media behavior in the days following Arjun's disappearance was carefully monitored by investigators who noted that her posts about grief and loss were interspersed with promotional content for luxury brands and lifestyle products that seemed inappropriate for someone experiencing genuine traumatic loss, suggesting a calculated approach to maintaining her online presence and commercial partnerships, even while publicly mourning her husband's tragic death. The witness interviews conducted by Detective Lopez revealed a pattern of inconsistencies in Monica's behavior and statements that extended beyond the immediate circumstances of Arjun's disappearance to include previous incidents where she had demonstrated manipulative tendencies and a willingness to deceive friends and family members about financial difficulties and marital problems that contradicted the perfect relationship she portrayed through her carefully curated social media presence. Priya Desai, Monica's closest friend and frequent companion on shopping expeditions and social events, initially provided strong support for Monica's grief narrative, but began to express private concerns to other mutual friends about inconsistencies in Monica's emotional responses and her surprisingly detailed knowledge about legal procedures and insurance claims that seemed beyond what a genuinely grieving widow would be expected to understand or pursue so quickly after losing her spouse. The technological evidence gathered from the yacht's electronic systems revealed data about engine usage, navigation patterns, and onboard communications that contradicted several aspects of Monica's timeline and raised questions about whether Arjun had actually been aboard the vessel during the time period when she claimed they were enjoying their romantic evening together, celebrating their marriage and his business success. The Coast Guard's official analysis of weather conditions and ocean currents during the night of Arjun's disappearance indicated that his body should have been recoverable within the search area if he had actually fallen overboard, when and where Monica claimed, leading to expanded search efforts and consultation with marine biology experts about decomposition rates and drift patterns that might explain the absence of physical evidence. The insurance company's investigation into Arjun's life insurance policies revealed that Monica had been the driving force behind increasing his coverage to 25 million euros just 8 months before his disappearance, with applications that included detailed medical examinations and lifestyle assessments that demonstrated her sophisticated understanding of insurance procedures and her awareness of the potential financial benefits of her husband's untimely death. The preliminary forensic analysis of the yacht's surfaces and furnishings identified traces of blood that had been cleaned but not completely eliminated, along with evidence of significant scrubbing and chemical treatment of areas where a struggle or violent incident might have occurred, providing the first concrete physical evidence that Arjun's disappearance might not have been an accidental drowning, as Monica claimed. The breakthrough in the investigation came when Daniel Ross, the yacht crew member who had been dismissed by Monica for the evening of Arjun's disappearance, contacted Detective Lopez with information about a conversation he had overheard 3 weeks earlier between Monica and an unidentified man discussing what sounded like detailed planning for an incident that would appear to be an accident, but would result in Arjun's death and Monica's inheritance of his substantial business empire and personal wealth. The phone records subpoenaed from Monica's cellular provider revealed extensive communications with multiple men during the months preceding Arjun's disappearance, including frequent late-night conversations and text message exchanges that suggested romantic relationships and financial arrangements that contradicted her public image as a devoted wife whose entire life revolved around supporting her husband's business, success, and maintaining their luxurious lifestyle together. The forensic accounting investigation into the couple's financial records uncovered Monica's systematic efforts to gain access to Arjun's business accounts and investment portfolios through forged signatures and fraudulent authorization documents that had been used to transfer substantial sums into accounts that she controlled independently, demonstrating premeditation and sophisticated financial planning that extended far beyond spontaneous criminal activity. Detective Lopez's interview with Priya Desai took a dramatic turn when confronted with evidence of her knowledge about Monica's extramarital affairs and financial schemes, leading to her reluctant admission that she had been storing Monica's backup phones and documents that contained incriminating evidence about her plans to eliminate Arjun and claim his wealth while maintaining her reputation as an innocent widow who had lost the love of her life to a tragic accident. The text messages retrieved from Monica's hidden devices revealed explicit discussions about hiring someone to help stage Arjun's death in a way that would appear accidental, including detailed conversations about timing, methods, and alibis that demonstrated extensive planning and coordination with at least one accomplice who had maritime experience and access to equipment that could dispose of a body without leaving traces that would be discoverable by standard search and recovery operations. The surveillance footage from nearby marinas and waterfront establishments was systematically reviewed to identify any individuals who might have been involved in Monica's conspiracy, leading to the discovery of multiple meetings between Monica and a man later identified as Marcus Chen, a former Coast Guard officer with extensive knowledge of ocean currents and search protocols who had been discharged from service due to disciplinary issues related to inappropriate conduct and substance abuse problems. The psychological profile developed by forensic specialists described Monica as a narcissistic personality with sociopathic tendencies, who was capable of maintaining elaborate deceptions while appearing to be emotionally engaged, genuinely caring toward people she was simultaneously manipulating and exploiting for financial gain, with particular skill in using her physical attractiveness and apparent vulnerability to gain sympathy and avoid suspicion from both investigators and potential accomplices. The re-examination of the yacht using advanced forensic techniques revealed additional physical evidence, including traces of sedative drugs in areas where Arjun's food and beverages would have been prepared, suggesting that he had been incapacitated before being killed and disposed of in a manner that would prevent discovery of his body and allow Monica to maintain her claims about accidental drowning during a romantic evening that never actually occurred. The financial motive for Arjun's murder became clear through detailed analysis of his business holdings and personal assets, which revealed that Monica would inherit not only his liquid investments worth 12 million euros, but also his stake in 3 technology companies whose valuations were expected to increase dramatically following successful initial. public offerings that would generate additional wealth estimated at 50 million euros within the following 2 years. Marcus Chen's arrest at his apartment in Oakland led to the discovery of detailed plans and equipment that had been used to dispose of Arjun's body in deep ocean waters, where it would never be recovered, along with photographs and documents that provided investigators with a complete timeline of the conspiracy and evidence of payment arrangements that Monica had made to ensure his cooperation and silence following the successful completion of their criminal plan. The interrogation of Marcus Chen revealed that Monica had initially approached him 6 months before Arjun's disappearance, with a proposal to stage her husband's death in exchange for 500,000 euros, with detailed discussions about methods that would appear accidental, while ensuring that no physical evidence would remain to contradict her claims about tragic circumstances that had stolen her happiness and financial security in a single devastating incident. The confrontation between Monica and Detective Lopez, when presented with evidence of her conspiracy, was marked by her continued attempts to maintain her innocent widow persona, even while being shown photographs, recordings, and physical evidence that proved her involvement in planning and executing her husband's murder, demonstrating the depth of her delusion and her confidence in her ability to manipulate others through emotional manipulation and calculated deception. The arrest warrant for Monica Patel was executed at her Nob Hill mansion exactly 43 days after she reported Arjun's disappearance, with television news crews capturing footage of her being led away in handcuffs, while maintaining her tearful claims of innocence and expressing shock that anyone could believe she was capable of harming the husband she claimed to love more than life itself, though her carefully applied makeup and coordinated outfit suggested she had been anticipating this moment and prepared her appearance accordingly. The charges filed against Monica included first-degree murder, conspiracy, insurance fraud, and multiple counts of financial crimes related to her systematic theft of Arjun's business assets during the months preceding his death, with prosecutors describing the case as one of the most calculated and cold-blooded examples of spousal murder they had encountered in their careers, involving extensive planning and sophisticated deception designed to maximize her financial gain while minimizing the risk of detection. Marcus Chen's cooperation with investigators, in exchange for a reduced sentence, provided crucial testimony about the detailed planning that had gone into Arjun's murder, including Monica's specific instructions about timing the crime to coincide with favorable ocean conditions that would carry his weighted body far from shore, and her insistence on using sedatives that would incapacitate him without causing a struggle that might leave physical evidence on the yacht or her person. The forensic reconstruction of the crime revealed that Arjun had been drugged during what he believed was a romantic dinner aboard their yacht, then killed while unconscious, and his body disposed of using concrete blocks and chains that Marcus Chen had obtained through his connections in the construction industry, with the entire operation designed to support Monica's narrative about accidental drowning during a perfect evening that had tragically ended in inexplicable loss. The trial preparation phase included extensive psychological evaluation of Monica to determine her competency to stand trial and to provide insight into the mental processes that had enabled her to plan and execute such a calculated crime, while maintaining her public persona as a loving wife and successful social media influencer whose life appeared to be everything that her followers aspired to achieve in terms of wealth, beauty, and marital happiness. Detective Lopez's testimony about the investigation process highlighted the sophisticated nature of Monica's deception and the extensive resources that had been required to uncover evidence of her crimes, including the coordination of multiple law enforcement agencies, forensic specialists, and technological experts who worked for months to piece together the complex timeline and gather the physical evidence necessary to prove her guilt beyond reasonable doubt. The media coverage of Monica's arrest and trial attracted international attention to the case as an example of how social media personas could mask criminal behavior and how the pursuit of wealth and lifestyle maintenance could motivate seemingly ordinary people to commit extraordinary crimes against their closest family members, with particular focus on the role that financial pressures and materialistic values might have played in her decision to kill her husband rather than accept divorce and the associated reduction in her standard of living. Priya Desai's testimony as a prosecution witness provided crucial insight into Monica's character and planning, including her casual discussions about eliminating obstacles to her happiness and her apparent lack of genuine emotional attachment to Arjun. Despite their public displays of affection and her social media presentations of their affection's relationship as an ideal marriage that represented the perfect balance of love, success, and cultural identity within the Indian American community. The insurance company's investigation revealed that Monica had attempted to file claims for Arjun's life insurance benefits within hours of reporting him missing, with paperwork that had been prepared in advance and submitted through electronic systems that suggested she had been planning to profit from his death long before the night when she claimed he had accidentally fallen overboard during their romantic cruise in San Francisco Bay. The victim impact statements prepared by Arjun's family members documented not only their grief over losing a beloved son and brother, but also their shock at discovering that the woman they had welcomed into their family as a daughter-in-law had been systematically planning his death while participating in family gatherings, cultural celebrations, and business events, where she had appeared to be a devoted wife who shared their values and supported their loved one's success and happiness. The defense strategy attempted to portray Monica as a victim of domestic abuse who had been driven to desperate measures by Arjun's controlling behavior and financial manipulation, though this narrative was undermined by extensive evidence of her own deceptive and manipulative conduct that extended far beyond her marriage to include fraudulent business dealings and romantic relationships that demonstrated her pattern of exploiting others for personal gain without regard for their welfare or legal consequences. The technological evidence presented during the trial included detailed analysis of Monica's internet search history, which revealed extensive research into murder methods, body disposal techniques, and legal procedures related to inheritance and insurance claims, with timestamps that demonstrated her systematic planning and premeditation, extending over a period of 8 months before she put her plan into action with Marcus Chen's assistance. The prosecution's presentation of physical evidence during the trial included detailed forensic analysis of blood traces found on the yacht despite Monica's extensive cleaning efforts, along with DNA evidence and fingerprints that contradicted her timeline and demonstrated the violent nature of Arjun's death, which had involved a struggle that left biological material in locations throughout the vessel that she had attempted to sanitize using professional-grade chemical cleaners purchased weeks before the crime. The testimony from maritime experts destroyed Monica's claims about accidental drowning by demonstrating that the weather conditions and ocean currents on the night in question would have made it virtually impossible for Arjun to fall overboard, unnoticed, and that his body would have been recovered within the search area if he had actually entered the water at the time and location she specified in her initial statements to Coast Guard investigators and emergency responders. Marcus Chen's detailed confession provided prosecutors with a minute-by-minute account of how Monica had lured Arjun onto the yacht under false pretenses, drugged his food with powerful sedatives obtained through her connections in the medical community, and then worked with Chen to kill him and dispose of his body using weights and chains that ensured it would sink to depths where recovery would be impossible, even with advanced underwater search equipment. The financial evidence presented during the trial revealed that Monica had stolen over 3 million euros from Arjun's business accounts during the 6 months before his murder, using forged documents and fraudulent authorizations to transfer funds into accounts she had established under false names, demonstrating that her criminal activities extended far beyond murder to include systematic embezzlement and identity theft that had been ongoing for years without detection. The psychological evaluation conducted by court-appointed experts described Monica as a psychopathic personality with exceptional skills in manipulation and deception, capable of maintaining multiple false relationships and criminal enterprises simultaneously, while appearing to be a normal, loving wife and successful entrepreneur whose social media presence reflected genuine happiness and financial success rather than calculated fraud and murderous intent. The cross-examination of Monica during her testimony revealed numerous contradictions and inconsistencies in her various statements about the night of Arjun's disappearance, including her inability to explain physical evidence, witness statements, and technological data that proved she had been lying about virtually every aspect of her relationship with her husband and the circumstances surrounding his death. The defense team's attempts to introduce evidence about Arjun's alleged controlling and abusive behavior were largely unsuccessful due to the lack of credible witnesses or documentation to support these claims, while prosecution witnesses testified extensively about Monica's manipulative and deceptive conduct throughout their marriage and her apparent lack of genuine emotional attachment to her husband despite their public displays of affection and mutual support. The jury's deliberation lasted only 18 hours before reaching unanimous guilty verdicts on all charges, reflecting their conclusion that the evidence overwhelmingly proved Monica's guilt and that her claims of innocence and victimization were simply additional examples of the manipulative behavior that had characterized her conduct throughout the investigation and trial, demonstrating her inability to accept responsibility for her crimes even when confronted with irrefutable proof. The sentencing hearing included victim impact statements from Arjun's family members, business associates, and friends who described the devastating impact of his loss on both their personal lives and the broader Indian American community that had viewed him as a role model for entrepreneurial success and cultural pride, while also expressing their shock and betrayal at discovering that his murder had been planned and executed by the woman they had trusted and welcomed as family. Detective Lopez's testimony during the sentencing phase emphasized the premeditated and cold-blooded nature of Monica's crimes, describing her as one of the most calculating and dangerous criminals she had encountered during her 20-year career in law enforcement, with particular concern about Monica's ability to maintain facades of normalcy and respectability while planning and executing complex criminal schemes that endangered multiple victims. The judge's sentencing decision reflected the gravity of Monica's crimes and her complete lack of remorse or acceptance of responsibility, imposing a life sentence without possibility of parole, along with additional consecutive sentences for the financial crimes and conspiracy charges, ensuring that she would never be released from prison regardless of any future changes in sentencing guidelines or parole policies. The insurance company's successful defense against Monica's claims for Arjun's life insurance benefits established important legal precedents for cases involving spousal murder and insurance fraud, while also recovering the fraudulently obtained funds that had been transferred to accounts she controlled, though the emotional and social damage caused by her crimes could never be fully remediated through financial or legal remedies. The discovery of Arjun's remains 14 months after his murder provided final confirmation of the prosecution's case when recreational divers found portions of his weighted body in deep waters off the California coast, with forensic analysis confirming the presence of sedatives in his preserved tissue and evidence of violent trauma that matched Marcus Chen's detailed confession about the methods used to kill him before disposing of his body in the ocean. The media coverage of the body's discovery reopened public interest in the case and prompted renewed discussion about domestic violence and financial abuse within wealthy communities, though investigators noted that Monica's crimes were motivated primarily by greed and materialistic desires rather than fear or desperation, distinguishing her case from typical domestic violence situations that involve genuine victimization and survival concerns. The civil litigation filed by Arjun's estate against Monica sought recovery of the stolen funds and damages for wrongful death, with proceedings that revealed additional evidence of her systematic financial crimes and provided his family with legal mechanisms for recovering assets that had been fraudulently transferred before his murder, though the emotional trauma and social damage caused by her betrayal could never be adequately compensated through monetary awards. The investigation into Monica's accomplices and support network revealed connections to other individuals who had provided assistance with various aspects of her criminal activities, including document forgery, money laundering, and the acquisition of materials used in disposing of Arjun's body, leading to additional arrests and prosecutions that demonstrated the extent of criminal conspiracy required to execute such a sophisticated murder scheme. The impact on San Francisco's Indian American business community included enhanced awareness about the importance of financial oversight and transparency within marriages, as well as increased attention to warning signs of psychological manipulation and abuse that could indicate potential violence, with community organizations developing educational programs and support services designed to prevent similar tragedies through early intervention and professional counseling. The psychological research conducted in connection with Monica's case contributed to enhanced understanding of how narcissistic and psychopathic personalities could exploit cultural expectations and social norms to maintain facades of respectability, while engaging in systematic criminal behavior, with particular attention to the role that social media and lifestyle branding could play in concealing dangerous personality traits and criminal planning. The technology industry's response to Arjun's murder included the establishment of memorial funds and scholarship programs in his honor, while also implementing enhanced security and oversight procedures for investment decisions and business partnerships designed to protect entrepreneurs and their families from the types of financial manipulation and personal violence that had characterized Monica's systematic exploitation of her husband's trust and business success. The prison interviews conducted with Monica by forensic psychologists revealed her continued lack of genuine remorse for her crimes and her persistent belief that she had been justified in killing Arjun because of what she described as his financial control and limitation of her personal freedom, demonstrating the depth of her psychological pathology and her inability to accept responsibility for her criminal behavior, even after conviction and sentencing. The legislative initiatives proposed in response to Monica's case included enhanced protection for business owners and their assets from spousal fraud and manipulation, along with improved coordination between law enforcement agencies and financial institutions for detecting and preventing the types of systematic theft and identity fraud that had enabled her to steal millions of euros while planning her husband's murder. The victim advocacy programs that were developed using Arjun's case as a model provided resources and support for families dealing with financial crimes and domestic violence within affluent communities, recognizing that wealth and social status could provide cover for dangerous individuals, while also creating unique challenges for victims who might be reluctant to seek help due to concerns about privacy and community reputation. The ongoing monitoring of Monica's prison communications and activities revealed her continued attempts to manipulate other inmates and correctional staff through false claims of victimization and requests for special treatment, demonstrating that her criminal personality traits remained active even within the controlled environment of maximum security incarceration, where her opportunities for exploitation and manipulation were severely limited. The educational initiatives developed for law enforcement training included Monica's case as an example of how sophisticated criminals could exploit social media and public personas to maintain cover for systematic criminal activity, with particular emphasis on the importance of thorough financial investigations and psychological evaluation in cases involving spousal disappearances and suspicious deaths within affluent families and communities. The appeals process initiated by Monica's defense team challenged various aspects of her conviction and sentencing, though their arguments were systematically rejected by appellate courts that found the evidence overwhelming and the legal proceedings free from significant errors that would warrant reversal or modification of her life sentence, with particular attention to the extensive physical and circumstantial evidence that proved her guilt beyond any reasonable doubt. The documentary film produced about Monica's case attracted international attention to issues of social media, deception, and domestic violence within affluent communities, featuring interviews with investigators, legal experts, and community members who provided insight into how her carefully constructed public persona had concealed her criminal personality and murderous intent from people who believed they knew her well and trusted her completely. The impact on Marcus Chen's family included social ostracism and financial hardship as they struggled to understand how their relative had become involved in such a heinous crime, with ongoing therapy and counseling to address their trauma and guilt over his actions, while also dealing with the practical challenges of maintaining employment and community relationships after being associated with a high-profile murder conspiracy. The insurance industry's response to Monica's case included the development of enhanced screening procedures for large life insurance policies and improved coordination with law enforcement for investigating suspicious claims, along with educational programs for agents and investigators designed to help them recognize potential indicators of insurance fraud and spousal murder that might be concealed behind facades of successful marriages and legitimate business activities. The community healing process within San Francisco's Indian American social network involved difficult conversations about financial transparency, relationship dynamics, and the balance between cultural expectations and personal autonomy that could contribute to the types of marital conflicts and psychological pressures that had characterized Monica's relationship with Arjun, though community leaders emphasized that her crimes were not representative of cultural norms or values. The ongoing research into psychopathic personalities and criminal behavior was enhanced by detailed study of Monica's case, which provided researchers with extensive documentation of how sophisticated manipulation and long-term planning could be employed by individuals with antisocial personality disorders to exploit trust, relationships, and community, standing for criminal purposes while maintaining public personas that concealed their dangerous characteristics. The victim support services that were established in Arjun's memory continued to provide assistance for families dealing with financial crimes and domestic violence, with particular attention to the unique challenges faced by affluent families where wealth and social status could complicate efforts to seek help or escape dangerous relationships, while also addressing cultural factors that might prevent victims from recognizing manipulation and abuse. The technological security improvements implemented by financial institutions and business organizations in response to Monica's crimes included enhanced verification procedures for financial transactions and business authorizations, along with improved monitoring systems designed to detect patterns of systematic theft and fraud that might indicate criminal planning or domestic financial abuse within wealthy families and business partnerships. The legal precedents established through Monica's prosecution influenced how similar cases would be investigated and prosecuted in the future, particularly regarding the treatment of social media evidence, financial crimes committed in preparation for murder, and the use of psychological evaluation in determining criminal responsibility and appropriate sentencing for defendants with personality disorders that enabled systematic deception and manipulation. The professional development programs established for law enforcement officers, financial investigators, and mental health professionals included extensive training on recognizing and investigating complex cases involving spousal murder and financial fraud, with Monica's case serving as a primary example of how seemingly successful relationships and business enterprises could conceal systematic criminal planning and dangerous psychological pathology. The ongoing impact assessment, conducted 5 years after Monica's conviction, revealed lasting effects on the families, communities, and institutions that had been affected by her crimes, including enhanced awareness about the importance of financial oversight and psychological health within marriages, along with improved support services for individuals who might be vulnerable to manipulation and abuse by partners with criminal personalities and sophisticated deception skills. The Memorial Scholarship Program, established in Arjun's honor, continued to support young entrepreneurs and technology professionals from underrepresented communities, while also funding research into ethical business practices and the prevention of financial crimes that could exploit family relationships and community trust for criminal purposes, ensuring that his legacy would continue to benefit others despite the tragic circumstances of his death. The psychological study, conducted 10 years after Monica's conviction, provided comprehensive analysis of her continued behavior in prison, revealing persistent patterns of manipulation and exploitation of fellow inmates and correctional staff, despite the controlled environment and limited opportunities for the types of sophisticated deception that had characterized her criminal activities before her arrest and conviction for Arjun's murder. The impact on social media regulation and oversight was influenced by Monica's case, which demonstrated how lifestyle influencers could use their platforms to maintain criminal cover while also profiting from the public persona they created, leading to enhanced scrutiny of financial disclosure requirements and advertising standards for individuals who monetize their online presence through sponsored content and product partnerships. The victim advocacy work that emerged from Arjun's case continued to evolve and expand, providing specialized services for families affected by domestic financial crimes and spousal murder, with particular attention to the intersection of cultural expectations, business relationships, and personal safety within affluent immigrant communities, where traditional values and modern American individualism could create complex dynamics that enabled criminal exploitation. The academic research programs funded through memorial foundations established in Arjun's honor contributed to enhanced understanding of criminal psychology, financial fraud detection, and domestic violence prevention, with particular focus on how personality disorders and materialistic motivations could drive seemingly ordinary individuals to commit extraordinary crimes against family members and business partners who trusted them completely. The law enforcement training initiatives that incorporated lessons from Monica's case provided officers with enhanced skills for recognizing and investigating complex financial crimes that might be connected to planned violence, emphasizing the importance of thorough background investigations and psychological assessment when dealing with cases involving suspicious disappearances or deaths within wealthy families and business communities. The community education programs developed in response to the case addressed issues of financial transparency within marriages, recognition of psychological manipulation and abuse, and the importance of professional counseling and intervention for couples experiencing relationship difficulties that might escalate into criminal behavior if not addressed through appropriate therapeutic and legal resources available within their cultural and social communities. The ongoing monitoring of similar cases revealed that Monica's crimes were not isolated incidents, but part of broader patterns of spousal violence and financial exploitation that occurred within affluent communities where wealth and social status could provide cover for dangerous individuals, while also creating barriers to reporting and intervention that protected perpetrators while leaving victims vulnerable to escalating abuse and violence. The technological innovations developed for fraud detection and prevention were influenced by analysis of Monica's criminal methods, leading to improved systems for monitoring financial transactions, detecting identity theft, and identifying suspicious patterns of behavior that might indicate criminal planning or domestic financial abuse within business partnerships and family relationships, where trust and familiarity could be exploited for criminal purposes. The insurance industry's continued evolution in response to Monica's case included enhanced investigation procedures for large claims and suspicious circumstances, along with improved coordination with law enforcement agencies and forensic specialists who could provide technical expertise and investigative resources necessary for uncovering sophisticated fraud schemes that exploited policy provisions and legal procedures. The international cooperation initiatives developed for investigating similar crimes provided frameworks for coordination between law enforcement agencies when criminal activities crossed jurisdictional boundaries or involved international financial transactions, recognizing that modern criminal enterprises often exploited global financial systems and communication technologies to conceal their activities and avoid detection and prosecution. The mental health profession's response to Monica's case included enhanced training for therapists and counselors in recognizing personality disorders and dangerous relationship dynamics that might indicate potential for violence, along with improved protocols for reporting concerns and coordinating with law enforcement when therapeutic relationships revealed information about possible criminal planning or domestic violence situations. The long-term impact on legal procedures and courtroom practices included refinements in the presentation of complex financial evidence and psychological testimony, ensuring that juries and judges could understand sophisticated criminal schemes while also protecting the rights of defendants and maintaining the integrity of legal proceedings that addressed crimes involving extensive planning and multiple types of criminal activity. The 15-year follow-up assessment of Monica's case revealed its continued influence on law enforcement training, victim advocacy services, and community awareness programs that had been developed to prevent similar crimes and support families affected by domestic violence and financial exploitation within affluent communities, where wealth and social status could complicate recognition of dangerous relationship dynamics and criminal behavior. The documentary series and true crime media coverage that continued to feature Monica's case contributed to public education about the warning signs of financial abuse and psychological manipulation within marriages, while also highlighting the importance of thorough investigation and forensic analysis when dealing with suspicious deaths or disappearances that might initially appear to be accidents or natural causes. The prison system's ongoing management of Monica's incarceration required specialized approaches to dealing with her persistent attempts at manipulation and her continued lack of genuine remorse for her crimes, serving as a case study for correctional professionals dealing with psychopathic personalities and long-term prisoners who maintain their criminal thinking patterns despite extended periods of incarceration and therapeutic intervention. The academic research programs that continued to study Monica's case contributed to enhanced understanding of how criminal personalities developed and maintained their deceptive capabilities over extended periods, with particular attention to the role that social media and lifestyle branding could play in concealing antisocial traits and criminal planning from family members, friends, and professional associates who interacted regularly with dangerous individuals without recognizing their potential for violence. The victim support services that had been established in Arjun's memory continued to provide assistance for hundreds of families dealing with similar cases of domestic financial crimes and spousal murder, demonstrating the ongoing need for specialized resources and therapeutic interventions that address the unique challenges faced by survivors of sophisticated criminal schemes that exploited trust, relationships, and community standing for predatory purposes. The legal education initiatives that incorporated Monica's case into law school curricula and continuing education programs for attorneys provided future lawyers with comprehensive understanding of how complex criminal cases involving financial fraud and domestic violence should be investigated and prosecuted, ensuring that legal professionals would be better prepared to recognize and address similar crimes in their future practice. The community healing process that had begun immediately after Monica's arrest continued to evolve as San Francisco's Indian American business community implemented enhanced safeguards and support systems designed to protect vulnerable individuals and families from the types of manipulation and exploitation that had characterized Monica's systematic criminal activities leading up to Arjun's murder. The technological innovations that had been developed for fraud detection and prevention continued to evolve in response to emerging criminal techniques, with Monica's case serving as a foundational example of how sophisticated criminals could exploit digital platforms and financial systems to conceal their activities while maintaining public personas that provided cover for extensive criminal planning and execution. The international cooperation frameworks that had been established for investigating similar crimes provided templates for law enforcement agencies dealing with complex cases involving multiple jurisdictions and criminal activities that crossed national boundaries, recognizing that modern criminal enterprises required coordinated responses that could address sophisticated planning and execution strategies. The insurance industry's continued development of enhanced screening and investigation procedures reflected ongoing concerns about similar cases of spousal murder and financial fraud, with Monica's crimes serving as a cautionary example of how traditional investigation methods might be inadequate for detecting sophisticated criminal schemes that exploited legal procedures and social expectations. The psychological research findings that emerged from extended study of Monica's case influenced therapeutic approaches and diagnostic procedures used by mental health professionals when dealing with individuals who exhibited similar personality traits and behavioral patterns, providing enhanced understanding of how dangerous individuals could maintain facades of normalcy while planning and executing complex criminal activities. The media literacy education programs that were developed in response to Monica's use of social media for criminal cover address the broader societal need for enhanced awareness about how digital platforms could be manipulated to create false impressions and conceal dangerous behaviors, providing individuals and communities with tools for recognizing potential deception and manipulation in online presentations. 20 years after Monica Patel uploaded her final Instagram post, celebrating what she called a perfect evening with her husband before murdering him and disposing of his body in the Pacific Ocean, her case continues to serve as a chilling reminder of how thoroughly criminal personalities can exploit modern technology, social expectations, and community trust to conceal their true nature while systematically planning and executing crimes that destroy multiple lives and shatter the foundations of family and community relationships. The transformation of public understanding about domestic violence and financial abuse within affluent communities can be directly traced to the shocking revelations that emerged during Monica's investigation and trial, forcing society to confront uncomfortable truths about how wealth and social status could provide cover for dangerous individuals while creating barriers to recognition and intervention that protected perpetrators while leaving victims vulnerable to escalating manipulation and violence. The legal and investigative innovations that were developed in response to Monica's sophisticated criminal methods continue to influence how law enforcement agencies approach similar cases, with enhanced emphasis on financial forensics, psychological evaluation, and technological analysis that can uncover evidence of systematic planning and criminal activity that might be concealed behind facades of successful marriages and legitimate business enterprises. The victim advocacy services and community support programs that were established in Arjun's memory have provided assistance to thousands of individuals and families affected by domestic financial crimes and spousal violence, demonstrating the ongoing need for specialized resources that can address the complex intersection of psychological manipulation, financial exploitation, and physical violence that characterizes the most dangerous forms of domestic abuse and criminal activity. The educational impact of Monica's case extends far beyond law enforcement and legal professionals to include enhanced public awareness about the warning signs of financial abuse and psychological manipulation within intimate relationships, providing individuals and communities with knowledge and resources necessary for recognizing dangerous situations and seeking appropriate intervention before criminal behavior escalates to violence and murder. The technological security measures that were implemented by financial institutions and business organizations in response to Monica's crimes have prevented countless similar schemes, while also providing law enforcement with enhanced tools for detecting and investigating complex financial fraud that might be connected to domestic violence and criminal planning within affluent families and business communities. The psychological research that continues to emerge from detailed study of Monica's personality and criminal behavior has contributed to enhanced understanding of how antisocial personalities develop and maintain their deceptive capabilities, providing mental health professionals with improved diagnostic tools and therapeutic approaches for dealing with individuals who exhibit similar dangerous characteristics and behavioral patterns. The community healing process that began in San Francisco's Indian American Business Network has evolved into broader cultural conversations about financial transparency, relationship dynamics, and the balance between traditional cultural values and modern awareness of psychological manipulation and criminal exploitation that can destroy families and communities when dangerous individuals are able to exploit trust and cultural expectations for predatory purposes. The ongoing impact of Monica's crimes extends beyond the immediate victims to include lasting changes in how society approaches issues of domestic violence, financial abuse, and criminal investigation within affluent communities where wealth and social status can complicate recognition of dangerous relationship dynamics and criminal behavior that might be concealed behind carefully constructed public personas and social media presentations. The legacy of Arjun Patel lives on through the memorial foundations, scholarship programs, and victim advocacy services that continue to operate in his honor, while the cautionary tale of his murder by the woman he trusted most serves as a permanent reminder that even the most successful and careful individuals can become victims of systematic criminal planning by intimate partners who exploit love and trust for murderous purposes. The story of Monica Patel's calculated murder of her husband and her sophisticated efforts to conceal her crimes while profiting from his death continues to influence legal education, law enforcement training, and public awareness campaigns that address the complex intersection of domestic violence, financial crime, and psychological manipulation within modern society, where technology and social media can be exploited by dangerous individuals to maintain criminal cover while destroying innocent lives. The prevention programs and community education initiatives that grew from this tragic case have undoubtedly saved lives by providing individuals and families with knowledge and resources necessary for recognizing dangerous relationship dynamics and seeking appropriate intervention, ensuring that Arjun's death, though devastating, has contributed to protecting other potential victims from similar crimes and helping communities develop more effective responses to domestic violence and financial exploitation. The comprehensive investigation, prosecution, and ongoing analysis of Monica's crimes have established important precedents and provided valuable insights that continue to benefit law enforcement agencies, legal professionals, mental health specialists, and community organizations working to prevent domestic violence and support survivors, demonstrating how even the most tragic crimes can ultimately contribute to positive social change when communities respond with determination to learn from painful experiences and protect vulnerable individuals from similar exploitation and violence.